Hello beautiful peoples, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I am Ofix Grey and today is a writing video. So with writing videos I've had a bit of problems trying to figure out the structure I want to use because the progress that I share is it comes as it comes. Like, I cannot predict the amount of progress I'm going to make. I cannot predict if I'm going to make a mistake but yeah, so writing video. This doesn't have a structure per se. So the progress that I'm at the minute with my writing, I'm still in the planning stages. So I don't think I mentioned this in the introduction video, but I have a rough yearly schedule of how I want to work on my books. And I kind of want to take inspiration from the school system. So you have the first term, which is like September to December. I want to write the first half of my book. The second term, from January to April, I want to finish the book, like finish writing my first draft. And then from April until July-ish, I want to do all the editing, do what I'm going to do with publishing, whether I'm going to self-publish or find a publisher that likes my work. We'll see how it goes. And then during what would be the summer holidays, I want to plan my next book. Now, because I've just finished education, I finished it in June, I wanted a long break because I deserved a long break after 13 years of straight education. I deserved a break. I was burnt out and I wanted to take the break that I had to the full extent. So I did not actually sit down and plan this book until we got to September and until I started thinking about content creation. I have made quite a bit of progress. I definitely need to make more progress. I'm still planning out the plot. I'm okay if in this first year I don't get a book out, if it takes 2 or if it takes 1.5, I'm okay with that. I know it can take years and years for authors to write books and get them published. I just think that writing them on a 1-year basis for small books, I'm not saying that they're novels. I'm talking about books that are a decent length, have enough action, but books that aren't like that thick, probably books that are like that thick, which I think your average book is nowadays. So I want to stick to about a yearly schedule, but again, we see how it works. In this video, the stage that I'm at with my planning at the minute, I've planned out childhood, I've planned out the world, that's the bit that I'm on at the minute. I still need to plan a bit more about the last region and like the people, the species, things like that. I just need to finish planning that one out, and that's the world building, the basis of it sorted. Then I want to work on planning chapters. Just in terms of the plot, I don't really have a clear idea in my mind of how everything lines up. I don't have a clear image of the exact story in my mind. I have bits in the timeline. It's not all continuous. So with the planning, with the chapters, I'm literally doing it one chapter at a time and like just piecing it all together in my mind, and there are big gaps in it. So at the minute, I literally have on flashcards like, oh, this is what happens in the first chapter, and it's in enough detail that I know how I'm going to write that chapter. So with the plot, I want to, in this video, work on that a bit more, maybe get the plan out for chapter 2 or maybe even chapter 3. Now, I do have a challenge in this video, and I mentioned in the introduction video that I might have a challenge that I need to overcome. I already have one. So my 2 main characters, they go somewhere. I don't know where they are going. I need to figure out where on the map they are going to, and I need to figure out why they are going there, because I don't have that planned out. I just know that they need to go to a place. So I need to overcome that challenge in this video, which hopefully I'll be able to do I basically just run through a load of different things in my head of what could happen, and you will see my brain like wiring as I do it. But yeah, because that's what I did before for another thing that I was like struggling with. Oh, why does this happen? And I literally just sit there and run through different ideas of like how this could happen, how it could link up. And it's really interesting like how my brain works that way. But yeah, so I need to overcome that. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I know that you were probably expecting me to cut off here and cut to me writing. I have a question for you guys. I mentioned before that I don't know how to structure the writing videos, and that I don't really know how I'm going to share my information without giving away my story or giving away my ideas. And like, I am a bit nervous of, if I were to put my ideas out there, that someone could steal them before I'm able to finish the book, especially with me sharing my entire journey from the very beginning. So I have an idea that I haven't seen done anywhere else, and I want to see if this is something you'd be interested in. Me creating a fake story to demonstrate how I plan things without giving away the intricacies of my book. So let's say I'm developing the childhood of my main character, right? I don't want to tell you what my main character goes through as a kid, because it's giving you information that may skew your viewpoint on the character from the very beginning, or things that I want you to infer in the book and I don't want to tell you straight away. But if I was to use a front, like a fake character, let's go with Coffee and Marshmallow, right? Those are two characters. And I want to show how I plan their childhood. So I could be like, this is how I plan Coffee's childhood. Their parents were really supportive. They lived in this type of house, the community was like this, they had a good education. All of these things led to them becoming a strong, determined person with the support of their family and friends, and they are open to trying new things. Then we have Marshmallow, who did not have much support from their family. They lived in a large family, let's say, and because there were many children, they kind of got neglected, or they were the oldest child and they had to take care of their younger siblings. And that meant that they were kind of insecure, didn't have much self-worth, just saw themselves as someone to be used. And then I can plan out the relationship between Coffee and Marshmallow. And I think having a front with different ideas, because again, I'm not going to show you my story, but just showing how I plan these links and use these links to turn them into a story, showing how I create a map of my world and create the different regions, and showing things like that using a fake story that you guys could influence. You could type comments and be like, oh, I think Marshmallow should have a best friend who really cared for them, and something bad happened between them. Like, you can influence what happens in this. It's like our world on the side of my world. I think that could be really interesting as a way just to show you my progress, because otherwise these videos are going to be really boring if I'm literally just being like, oh yeah, this is what I wrote, this is what I planned, but I can't show you it. So if I have a fake story that's just for the internet, just for showing my processes and showing my progress, then it could work. Like, I feel like that's a really good solution for a problem that I feel like many authors who are on social media have. I said from the beginning, I want to take you on this journey with me, and by not being able to share the contents of my book, that's limited if I don't have the solution of a fake story. So I'm going to test it out for this video, and just let me know in the comments how you think it works. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and we'll test it out. Okay, so as you can see, this is the work that I've got so far. Now, a lot of it is literally just ideas, and it might be hard to read because A, my handwriting is a mess, and B, the camera is a bit zoomed out so that you can actually see everything that I wrote. I've left the characters because I want input for the characters. I don't want to just create them. I just went with their names, Salt and Pepper. It's an idea I came up with earlier, let's just have it at that. So let me just preface, this is the overall, just like a very general mind map that you can add ideas to. So like here, the genres, fantasy, because if you can make a book fantasy, why not? Mystery, that's like the main genre. I've never made a mystery before. I think it could be really interesting. So I've literally just uploaded a short asking people for like, give me your best mysteries. You've probably seen it, hopefully you have. If you haven't, go and check it out. It's on all of my platforms, and hopefully that will receive comments with ideas of what the main plot could be mystery wise. I've got adventure because again, I don't really get the chance to write action, so I want to. And then I've got friendship. I want the friendship between Salt and Pepper to be the main subplot. I've written down here in hidden messages. I always give my stories a hidden message. So yeah, the hidden message in this one is like how friendships can be challenged by society, how the world is out to get you as friends, how you need to communicate, how you need to rely on support and support others and accept help. It's okay to accept help. So yeah, that's like the hidden message. I want the friendship to overcome challenges throughout this book. That's the one thing that I want to contribute. So yeah, subplot is the friendship challenges. And then for the resolution and the climax, I just went like, again, with the mystery route. So the vague idea of something is off with the world, and then just off the top of my head, they could run into trouble with the law, or the creators of a simulation, or kidnapper, or whatever the mystery is. Like the climax, again, that's going to be left in the hands of the audience. Same with the resolution. They manage to solve the mystery, friendship is returned to normal. Like, that's this type of thing that I've just planned. So that's going to be mainly left for you guys. I need to give you an update. I'm not moving the camera because I'm still keeping it in this position because I'm going to carry on with work afterwards. But I have basically just written like cranked out the entire plot in like 15 minutes. Like, that's insane. This is what I mean when I say that, like, once my brain starts, it doesn't stop. And it's like, I can get things to flow. I just need to stop and think. And like, I was literally planning out my last like kingdom, and the idea just popped in my head, and I was like, right, let's just follow this train of thought. And oh my god, I basically just cranked out the entire plot, which is insane. I literally just messaged my friend like, I've just cranked out the entire plot. I've just created it in like 15 minutes. I'm so happy right now. And it was like, oh my god. So yeah, I'm so excited. Obviously, I'm gonna continue this flow now, and like, yeah. Obviously, I need to refine it, but I'm so happy. Hello, so I just want to give an update before I pack in for the night. So obviously you saw the last clip of me being really excited because I basically figured out the plot. It was like the vague plot. I still have a lot of like filling in the gaps I need to do, which is what I was just doing in the clip you've just seen. I was basically planning out chapter 2. By planning out, I mean like everything that happens in chapter 2, all the main action and like how it happens, and then keynotes that I might need to remember that I could forget by the time I come to actually writing it. So that's what I just did. I was planning on doing a bit more and like continuing the high while it lasted, but it didn't last long, and honestly I'm pretty tired. And I'm going to hopefully go to B&Q tomorrow to pick out some like paint samples for my room, which will be very exciting. I'm going like a red, brown, black type vibe, kind of earthy, woody, maybe a bit like boho. So yeah, I mean, you'll see how it looks when it's finished, but hopefully I'll be going tomorrow to get some paint samples to see which colours I want in my room, basically. Okay, I'm going to go to either chill for a bit, or I'm just going to go to sleep. I might just go to sleep. We'll soon see. Well, you won't, I will. Good night, I'll see you tomorrow. Hello. So, I didn't record last night. I did quite a bit of work. I managed to work on my main story, the one that I'm not sharing with you. I managed to work on that quite a lot last night. I didn't film because I was having a bit of a poor mental health day, but I did a lot. I managed to do a lot more than I did previously. So, just a brief explanation of what I managed to do without going into too much detail. So before yesterday, I started off with like chapter 1 planned out and chapter 2 mostly planned out. There were a few details that needed to be done better, but that was the point that I was at. And by planned out, what I mean is all the key pieces that happen in that chapter are planned out. So all the things that I will be writing about. It's like a summary of everything that happens in the chapter that's key. That's what I do when I plan, and I'll show you that in the fake story, but that's what I write for my plans for my chapters. So I know what I have to write, I know how it all links together, I just get to write it. And obviously a lot of details go into actually writing it. It's more than just, oh, they did this and then they did that. It's like so much more. You know that if you're a writer. If not, you'll get to see going forward once I actually start writing. Yesterday I managed to finish planning out and getting down all the key points for chapter 2 and 3 and most of the details for 4, with the ability to piece things together for the rest of the chapters. So yeah, I managed to get to chapter 4 basically, and I solved the problem. You know, at the beginning of this video how I said my 3 goals were continuing with the plot, finishing the world building aspect of it, and finding the solution to this problem that I have. And the problem was figuring out where Cassie goes to and why she goes there. So I knew that Cassie needed to get to a place. I didn't know what the place was going to be, which I now know because me planning the next few chapters has found that solution. And I now know why she has to be moved, essentially. I've now figured that out. Because again, by planning it all out, I'm connecting all the jigsaw puzzles that are in my head and making the puzzle more clear, which is really helpful. That's why I plan, so that I have all the pieces figured out. And now that solution has been solved, so I don't have to worry about that. So the only thing that I still have to do for my goals for this week is finish off planning the last region, which I have a good idea of it in my mind. I just need to get it down in words, if that makes sense. This is the most detailed region, but I have enough ideas about it that I don't think it will be hard to do once I do sit down and start writing it. I also looked into, I wouldn't call them subplots, but it's attributes that link up to the story that aren't part of the story. Like, you know how I mentioned in childhood you have, for me, I plan the way that events in childhood affect a person's character, and how being in a positive household can lead to lots of support in dreams and academics and things like that. How the childhood and the people they're grown up around, how that affects the way that a person is brought up, their character, their strengths, their weaknesses, all of these things. Well, I like to link it to real life as much as I can because I'm a very sociological person. I like to mess around with ideas of injuries, for example, and how an injury can affect a person's behavior, how it can affect, because pain changes your tolerance for things, it changes your behavior from others. While you might be a kind-hearted individual normally, pain may make you short-tempered, and little things that normally you can ignore become really annoying, and then it just builds up, and that could lead to someone snapping. So things like that I think are really interesting to incorporate into a story, and I'm messing around with a similar thing in my story that I just thought of at the top of my head, and I rolled with it, and it works. It actually helped to solve my problem. So, but I managed to do a lot last night, and I'm so happy with it. So yeah, I'm going to next probably show how I developed plot, maybe, or how I developed like childhood attributes like that in the fake story. I want to show you my planning, so I'm going to do that next with the fake story, so you can see a better example of what I mean by how I can show you my process of doing things. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, so I have just quickly took my notes from my actual story and just put them on a flashcard. The key things of how I plan. The 3 things I've planned so far are characters, world, and plot. Now, obviously plot is your main thing, but you can't really have your plot until you have your characters and your world, at least in my opinion. Characters. Main things I start off with, your physical attributes, your main external features. So your age, your appearance, things that are apparent to other people and their first judgment will be made of. Then the other thing for my characters I focus on, personality, attributes, skills. So that's where the planning of childhood, traumas or lack of, present day life, class or societal influence, education and occupation or opportunities that they have available to them, or family and friends or their associations and support. So those are the main things I focus in on personality in terms of what can affect them as a person when they're older, what can build their character. So I'll go through that with Salt. We'll stick with Salt because why not? And the other main factor, the world. So what I do, you need to keep in mind, it depends on the story. So is it fantasy? Is it set rural? Like your medieval times, or just like nature-based, so like you're in the forest or you're in the mountains? Is it urban? Are you in the streets? Are you in cities, like how closer to the real life world? Or is it close to a time period, so like Victorian England, or like I said before, medieval times? I started off with a map, so I literally just drew a shape that felt right. It might have taken multiple attempts to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just did it. I just drew a random shape and it helped me get proportions, and then I marked places that felt right as the regions. You can have as many regions as you want. It's your map. You can do it however you want. But yeah, I just drew a shape, placed the regions where they felt right. You can come back to the names later. I did the names after I already had the places identified, because my names are like based on the area, based on like the environment and the habitat, which is another thing that I wrote down. Another point, your origin region of the character and the main region they spend most of the time in are going to be more detailed than your other ones. That's just how it works, because you're going to spend more time in those regions. The regions you spend the most time in, they are more detailed. You don't have to spend ages planning loads of, this is what this type of person lives like in this region that they never visit. Like, I over detail. Don't pull on me. In terms of the region and like the actual details, what sort of habitat and environment is it? Are they in a forest? Are they based in the mountains? What's the temperature like? What type of clothing do they have to wear because of the temperature? If they live up in the mountains, they're going to have thick coats. That could link into like their trade. Their trade could be thick, warm clothing, you know? Or is it urban? Again, class system. Now, this is something you can just take in your own way. It depends how you feel. It can include things like the monarchy, or not the monarchy, but a monarchy. It could even be based on religion. It could be like a class system within like a church or ranks type thing. Or it can mimic society today with like upper class, middle class, working class, because that can help with creating a class divide if that's something you want to include in your story. Community within a region. Are your neighbours friendly? Do you gossip about people? Is it quite a traditional culture where there are a lot of taboo subjects? I feel like I've got a hair just there and I can't get it and it keeps just itching. So if you see me do that, ignore me. What type of occupations are there? I mentioned before, trades, things like that. And values and laws. Your values might be different in different regions. Your laws might be different because the people are different. So something that might be socially acceptable in one place isn't in another. Again, it can link to your story. Plot. Now this is how I plan plot. This is from the very basics, because the start of my book, I didn't have a solid plot. I literally just had like a vague idea of what I wanted it to be. I had right, I want this genre, I know what my characters look like and the type of people they are. I know that I want this to happen at the end. That's all I had. I didn't have the rest of it. So that's why it's taking me so long to go into detail about the chapters and things. Think of it like jigsaw pieces. I'm going to refer to this a lot. Jigsaw pieces. You have your main pieces. Those are your main jigsaw pieces, right? And honestly, you just have to let the ideas come to you. You can't just be like brute force it. I mean, you can try, but you get your best ideas by letting them come to you, taking a small idea and letting it expand, thinking about different pathways that you can take and where you can take this. So with your big jigsaw pieces, basically with expanding them and being able to connect the big pieces, I would just go through developing them, because then you get more that you can go off of, more branches that you can spread out like a tree. You have your major branches, and the more that you detail them, the more opportunities you have to expand your story. It's okay to have gaps. It is okay to have gaps. It's okay to not know what's happening. You can have that bit that you need to bridge. That's literally what I had for the past couple of weeks that I've only just managed to solve, because it's meant to have gaps. That it's a work in progress. Like, you need to find a way to connect it, but it's okay if that doesn't happen straight away. The way that I actually write down my plot and like develop it further and turn it into chapters is I write out the key parts of that chapter. I think I mentioned this in my previous segment, but I write out all the key parts of a chapter and then I rewrite it until it's clear. So I might write it out twice and have two different ideas from like the first draft to the second. I'll then write it out a third time with all the clear details. And if I want to change something, I'll write it out a fourth time. I do all my writing physically in terms of like the planning of things. I will need to transfer it onto my laptop at some point. Again, I use Notion, but I need to do that at some point, but not yet. I'll go through the character of Salt just as an example and go through my process of how I do that. It doesn't have to be Salt's character. If you guys want a different personality of Salt or you want different attributes, write down in the comments below. This is a community project, it is not a me project, so if you have ideas, if you have things you want to change, let me know. I'm okay with that, I'm open. So yeah, I'll go through that now and I will, Okay, so I'm going to do a plan of the character of Salt. So, again, you might not be able to read my handwriting, but I'm going to talk you through it as I do it. I'm going to try and keep this quick because I'm aware this video is long, as always, but I also want to cover main bases. So, straight off the bat, what type of a person do I think Salt is? I think I mentioned before, I think Salt has, let me turn that over so I can see my character things. I think Salt has a supportive family. I think maybe small, and it's kind of loving parents. Let's go with that. I know, shocking for a writer. Not giving parental trauma, oh my god. Okay. That basically affects them as an adult by giving them a determination to achieve their goals. It can make them more strong-willed, less likely to be manipulated, and I mentioned before, this is going to be a link, so I'm going to do, let's do red. I mentioned before that this story is a mystery, right? So because Salt is less likely to be manipulated, that can link to the mystery because Salt knows something's wrong. And and Salt wants to figure out what is wrong. I also haven't figured out if Salt is male, female, other yet. I'll just use like Salt or they for now. You guys can decide. Salt knows something is off. Wants to solve. Maybe we can include that Salt is stubborn, because a person who is strong-willed, they might not like being wrong, they might not like the lack of control. Maybe Salt has control issues. Now, we could link that to gifted kid syndrome, because even though a child may have a supportive family, they may aim to achieve, they may have loving parents, that doesn't mean there aren't problems. That doesn't mean that them getting such good praise from being at school doesn't cause self-worth issues in terms of believing that your self-worth is equated to success. Gifted kid syndrome, it could link to that, and like a need to impress. It could be that Salt's strong-willed mind and determination isn't for him, it's for others. I say him, we'll go with him. Salt, male. I'm just going based on my intuition with this. Again, open to interpretation. It's just how I see Salt. Right. Salt has white hair. Yes, we're following the thing. Appearance. Now that we've got the basic personality down. I still never know if appearance is with an E or an A at the end. It's fine. I'm a writer that I can't always spell. Appearance. White hair. I'm imagining Salt to be more like 23. I think Salt is quite young. 23 years old. Not much experience in the world. Maybe Salt has had an easy life. Easy life. Quite naive because of that. Like naive to struggles, shall we say. But I don't think he's naive, because determination, determined, strong-willed. He's intelligent. Let's go, yeah. Intelligent. But naive to struggles, naive to the difficulties of life. We could say, let's have a look at some of personality attributes. Skills. Skills, well educated. Now, you may think that's not a skill. It is. Like, it's not really a skill, but it's an attribute. It's an opportunity that he had. What was I just looking at? Well educated. That could mean he has strong logical skills. It might mean that he is less in touch with emotions, less emotionally intelligent. That could be Salt's weakness. And then I would start thinking about links to other characters. So we'll go with a blue. Less emotionally intelligent, that's his weakness, but that's Pepper's strength. I'm more imagining opposites with Salt and Pepper. Yes, cliche, that's why I chose their names, it just popped into my head. Pepper's strength, emotionally driven. This is on about Pepper now, just for reference. And I would probably say more impulsive or reckless, because while Salt strives for control, Pepper struggles with control. So yes, struggles with control. Okay, just quickly, the other things that I have on this thing. Trauma or lack of, doesn't really have much trauma. Present day life, I don't really know. I'll leave that up for you. What type of job does Salt have? Class or societal influence, I would say probably middle class, no financial issues. Education, well educated. Opportunities, many opportunities. Friends, family, associations of support, loving family, supportive family, great life overall. So that's like how I would basically create a character. And yeah, I say that easy. It isn't, you aren't going to be able to see this anyway, but it isn't that easy to do. I basically just used my analytical skills that I have from like English literature. But yeah, I would just do it kind of like a checklist, just like things like that. Again, this character doesn't really mean much to me because, I mean, it does, but like because it's a fake story, it's not one that I'm going to be writing. I don't need to go into all the details, but maybe that will help you with yours. I might do a few shorts this way on like the world, and I'll probably include the plot in the next video, because again, I'm not going to have much time to actually show this because the video will be like an hour long otherwise. But yeah, that's the type of way that I would do it. And doing that for the fake story, I feel like shows you how I think, how the processes of how I do things. But very sped up, granted, but I hope that would help. And again, I can do full videos on this. I don't mind doing full videos on this. So yeah. Okay, I'll see you in the next clip. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know about Salt and Pepper and the story, and if you have the mystery, if you can solve the entire plot. Let me know your thoughts, because once again, this is a community project. This won't work if you don't engage. If you have ideas, feel free to share, because I'm not going to create a whole story on my own. But also, if you don't have ideas, that's okay. It's not serious. It's meant to be a fun project, you know? There's no pressure, there's no right or wrong ideas. It's just a time to let your imagination go free and be creative. So, I actually found this video really fun to make. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it because obviously it didn't really have a structure, but it was so much fun because I just got to share my passion with you all and like show how I do my writing, show how I plan things. You got a peek inside my brain with the whole planning as I go, like the walkthrough. So we're very honoured for that. It's a very chaotic place, but full of ideas, full of imagination. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Leave a comment down below of anything you really enjoyed, anything you would like to see more of, any suggestions, and obviously any ideas. And I will see you in the next video.